Survivors. A man is walking north. He carries a bag, the first bag containing provisions for the journey and some tools. The man is strong and rough-hewn, with a red lion's beard and small scars on his face and hands, places of old wounds where they inflicted at work or during a fight. Maybe he was in prison and wants to hide. Or maybe he is a philosopher looking for peace. Anyway, here he is, a human being in the midst of this vast loneliness. He goes and goes in silence that is not disturbed by either bird or animal. So, the longer I live, the more I learn that love, whether we call it friendship, family, or romance, is about reflecting and amplifying each other's light. Delicate work, permanent work, life-saving work in moments when life, shame, and sadness clouds our light. But there is still a loving, bright-eyed person sending it. In our best moments, we are that person for the other person. One. Stephanie often left home, leaving her son alone. There was no one around except within the walls of the large empty house. This is how the boy encountered loneliness. This boy, his name, Mietek, the farmer's son, instead of getting angry at the whole world, Mietek decided to make it better by saving those who needed saving the most. As an actor and writer, he didn't need private jets or lobsters. All he asked for was to employ the homeless so that they would have money and food. He built houses for them with his own hands, visited sick children in hospitals at Christmas time, cried and gave them gifts, and simply smiled at broken-hearted strangers. The only person he couldn't save was himself. In the city, Mietek had a performance at Easter time. I am the one who always waits for you. Your car has a special sound that has imprinted itself on my senses. I recognize it 1,000 times. Your steps have a magic ring. Your voice is music to my ears. When I see your joy, it makes me happy. Your scent is the best. Your presence touches my senses. Your awakening wake me up. I contemplate you sleeping. You are my idol, my God. Even I enjoy watching you sleep. Your gaze is a ray of light. Your hands rest on me, holding the lightness of peace and the sublime manifestation of infinite love. When you leave, I feel a huge emptiness in my heart. I am waiting for you again and again. I am the one who will wait for you all your life today, tomorrow, and forever. I am your dog. The best part of a good man's life is his small, nameless, and forgotten acts of kindness and love. Everyday life casts a shadow over the latter. Farmers in Poland now have recently opposed the Green Deal imposed on the European Union authorities, as well as the import of agri-food products from Ukraine and the restrictions of animal breeding in the country, as well as the dramatic situation in agriculture. Robert never forgot the Polish and plowed land, the long road through the moor to the forest, who was the first to create it. Man the first to come here. Before he came, there was no path. Soil growths was something else, something that could be pursued at all costs. The only source, the origin of everything. A boring and desolate existence? No, that's the least. For man possessed all things, his supreme powers, his dreams, his loves, his wells of superstitions. Robert never read a book, but he often thought about God. It was inevitable, a matter of simplicity and admiration, the starry sky, the noise of the forest, the solitude, the great snow, the majesty of the earth, and what was above the earth filled him with deep piety many times a day. He was sinful and God-fearing. On Sundays he washed in honor of the holy day, but he worked as usual. As a result, he felt guilty, and yet it is not the one who insults or hits you who insults you, but your opinion that is disgusting. Deliberately stripped of everything that gives ordinary effects. Robert stood out as an elemental figure, a symbol of man at his best, face to face with nature and life. There is no greater human character, even the Bible itself. Young hearts have their unfathomable depths. Oh, women cannot tell one man from another. At least not always, not often. They were both a young married couple. Stephanie became religious. How could she help it? In the wilderness, no one can help it. Life there is not only earthly hardship and worldliness, there is piety and fear of death and rich superstitions. The house is looking for coffee drinkers. Robert didn't lose his head. The air and the countryside did not seem unhealthy to him. He had enough audience for his new clothes. He had no shortage of diamonds. He knew the wine from the wedding at Cana. The peasant did not regret the glory he did not obtain. Art, newspapers, luxury, politics were worth exactly what people were willing to pay for them, no more. While the crop of the field had to be taken, to be obtained at all cost, was the beginning of everything, the only and irrepressible source. The potato was a new fruit. There was nothing mystical about it, nothing religious. Women and children could join in and plant these strawberries that came from a foreign land, like coffee, a wonderful food, but related to the turnip. The father said about Mietek, the son and soul here, that he was the light in the family, heir of the family, and he was the folk. I am one of those people who knows what needs to be done, but doesn't do it. And Mietek is a lightning bolt, for now he has put himself at the service of the industry in the city. I am someone he is not. He is just lightning, a mischievous, modern man. My father kept repeating. His father repeating. But lightning like lightning is a sterile. And it takes a farmer. You go there with heaven and earth, and you are one with them. You are one with these immense and rooted wells. You don't need a sword in your hand. You go through life with bare hands and a bare head, in the midst of great goodness. Look, nature is there. It's yours. Man and nature do not bombard each other. They give each other rights. They do not compete. They do not chase something. They follow each other. In the middle of this you go and exist. Mountains, forests, swamps, meadows, sky and stars. Oh, it is not poor and measured. It is without measure. Listen to me, Mietek, be happy. You have something to live for, something to believe in. You are born and born again. You are indispensable on earth. Not everyone is, but you are indispensable on earth. You live life. From generation to generation, there is only breeding, and when you die, the new breeding takes over. This is what is meant by eternal life. What do you have left for that? Existing in law and power, existing in faithful and right standing in all things. What do you have left for that? In you, Mietek, nothing dominates or rules. You have peace and authority. You are surrounded by great goodness. You lie on your chest and play with your mother's warm hand and nipples. And I am something. I am fog. I am here and there. I float. Sometimes I am rain in a dry place. But you, my son, are lightning that is nothing, is a sterile flash. Flesh can act. My son, a type of our time, sincerely believes in what time has taught him, in what the Jew and the Yankee have taught him, and I shake my head at that. They shake my head. Because I am not a secret. I am just a fog in my family. I sit and shake my head. The thing is, I lack the ability to be ruthless. If I had that ability, I could be lightning myself. Now I am a mist. Robert came here. There was no path before him. Then one or the other animal followed the faint tracks in the swamps and made them more distinct. And then once again, the occasional sheep began to sniffle the path and walk along it as he went from mountain to tend his rams. In this way, a path was created through large common areas that no one owned. Through a desolate land, you can get sick in the forest and be miserable, and I don't think you'll be very healthy afterwards. It's now again in the village. Mietek is sick. He is sick, well, worn out and tired, but sick. For Mietek, coffee was a dream and an adventure, a rainbow. A man can live without bread. If he has a potato, he is not without food. For some time now, Stephanie hasn't gone out in the morning and hasn't gone out all day either. But she was useful and milked the goats, scrubbed the sheepfolds with fine sand and cleaned them. For several hundred years, Robert's ancestors sowed the seeds on this ground. It was an act of devotion on a quiet and mild, windless evening, preferably during a light, moderate drizzle, preferable as soon as possible after the grey geese had stretched out. The potato